Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am showing you my #1 makeup from Sephora currently. So with the Sephora VIB sale coming up, I will leave details down below on when it is coming up. I think it starts on the 28th for us Rouge members. But I wanted to do a get ready with me video using my #1 makeup products in each category. So I'm going to show you like my #1 foundation from Sephora, my #1 eyeshadow, etc., etc. So you can see all my favorites in action. So if you want to see my #1 favorites from Sephora currently, just keep watching. So let's just get started with the eyes. I definitely prefer to do my eyes first when I'm getting ready. That's just a habit. So I'm going to go in with the Merit. This is the Solo Shadow in the shade Vachetta. I think that is how you pronounce it. It's this beautiful warm brown. So I'm just going to go in with this dense brush, and this is a Wayne Goss 18 brush. I'm just going to distribute it onto this brush. And I am going to get off that excess product because this is quite a pigmented product. And I also want to say that you have to work quickly with this shadow because it does dry down relatively quickly. I will preface this and say that this shadow is not going to be for everyone, because if you've ever tried the MAC paint pots and you didn't like them, don't get this, because these are essentially a MAC paint pot. They are extremely drying on the eyes. They're a very dry formula. So they are a little bit harder to work with. You do need to move quickly. They are pigmented. They do blend, of course, but I do find that you, again, have to work quickly because they dry down. And because they dry down so quickly, you can't layer these up. If you do, like, say you go in with one layer and then try to put another layer over top, they will start to, like, the product will actually go away. Like, it'll kind of like crack. If that makes sense, it will just remove the product that you've already applied over top. So you do need to work relatively quickly with these products. Even though I feel like everything I'm describing sounds very negative, but I really, really enjoy this color of this product. And because I am familiar with working with cream eyeshadows, I personally don't really have a problem working with it. I would just say if you're a beginner with makeup, or if you're someone that actually, if you have really mature eyelids and have a lot of wrinkles or stuff like that, I don't think you would really enjoy these because this is quite a matte formula. And because of that, it will accentuate any dryness that you have on your eyes. And if you have any lines or wrinkles, it definitely will accentuate those because, again, this is a drier formula. However, I happen to like that for this formula because it just means that this product is going to last all day long for me. For me, this does not crease, it does not move. But it's just not going to be a product for everyone, and I do want to make that very clear. I do love this shade, though. It's the most perfect warm brown. It is a beautiful, beautiful one and done that is gorgeous for every day. And again, it's one of those every occasion type of shades where you could wear it to breakfast, you could wear it to go out for coffee, you could also wear it to a fancy dinner. So I just really enjoy this shade. So I'm first just patting it onto the outer corner. And then I am blending it into the crease and kind of applying it all over the lid as well. Just kind of putting it everywhere as a one and done. So yeah, my tips for these eyeshadows, for these Merit shadows, is to just go in with one layer, work with a very thin layer, get that excess product off, work quickly, because once these dry down, they don't move. And I really like how it looks as a one and done, but again, not for everyone. And this is my favorite eyeshadow palette that Sephora sells. This is the Tom Ford Tiger Eye. I've talked about this lots of times. I am just going to go in with a little bit, let's just mix this shade here and this shade here. And I'm just going to pop that on the eyelid, but just very softly. Like, I only just want basically a pinch of this on the eye. I want the Merit signature eyeshadow to basically be a one and done. So just going back and forth. But I just want to show you, you can obviously use a palette like this just to top one of those one and done eyeshadows. You can always get use out of different products. Like, I'm using a cream eyeshadow, but then I can also go over top with a powder eyeshadow as well. And of course, if you wanted more definition, you could go in with this darker shade and use that as an eyeliner. But I want to keep things simple today. My favorite mascara that Sephora has, and actually this is just my favorite mascara in general, this is the Dior Maximizer 3D Lash Primer. So I went in and primed my lashes with this, and then I went in with a coat of the YSL Lash Clash Mascara in the shade Brown. This is my absolute favorite mascara. If you don't like a brown mascara, I actually do really like the formula of the Gucci L'Obscura Mascara. I probably prefer this formula just because it lasts a little bit longer, but I really love this brown shade from the YSL. So I kind of sacrifice that and I use the YSL. That's my absolute favorite. I forgot to do the lower lash line, so I'm just going to go in with a bit of this Merit Solo Shadow and just take it on a pencil brush. And then I'm going to apply a little bit of that to the lower lash line. So I'm just going to start at the outer corner here, work my way inwards, and then also make sure to connect it to that outer top lash line to make sure everything flows together. For primer, I am really loving this Saie. This is the Glowy Super Gel Starglow. So with a primer, you'd think that you'd apply it all over your face, but my favorite way to actually use this is using it almost as a highlighter. So I like to just distribute a little bit onto the palm of my hand and then take a little brush. You can also use your fingers, but I'm just using a brush for this. And I like to apply it to the tops of my cheekbones where I want a little bit of glow to shine through when I apply my foundation over top. So I like to just apply it there and then a little bit down the bridge of my nose. You can apply this in a more generous area because this is such a subtle highlighter. You can alternatively apply it all over the skin as well because it is so subtle. You don't really, it's not a very detectable product. So if you're looking for a very, very natural glow, this is the product I would recommend. It's beautiful. And I do have to say, if you're in Canada, I really recommend picking up this Gucci Illuminator de Beauté, the multi-use drops, because these are available at Sephora Canada. For some reason, they're not available on the US Sephora, but I just wanted to mention that. And then for foundation, my favorite foundation that Sephora has to offer is this Givenchy Prisme Libre Skincare and Glow Foundation. Now, I love this foundation, and I've been kind of reintroduced to it because I've just been trying it out again. Unfortunately, the shade is a little bit too dark for me, so during the sale, I will be picking up a lighter shade because this is absolutely beautiful. So again, with foundation products, I also like to distribute it to the palm of my hand. If you apply it to the back of your hand, the pores will absorb that product and you won't get as much use out of that. So I'm just going to start with one pump of foundation and then work from there. I'm just going to take my Shiseido brush. I'll leave what this name is down below. This actually is sold at Sephora too if you're looking for a good, really large foundation brush. This is really nice. And I like to apply this all over the skin. So that Givenchy foundation, I feel like it's something that I haven't used a lot, again, because the color is a bit too dark for me. But it is an absolutely gorgeous foundation. I would say it is more of a radiant foundation, but it's not too glowy. So this is a really beautiful foundation because it is extremely lightweight on the skin. It almost feels like nothing, which I really like. It has, I would say you could build it to a medium coverage, but it feels just like a tinted moisturizer and has a really beautiful radiance to it without it being too glowy on the skin. I'm also going to go in with a beauty blender just to make sure there's no brush strokes or anything. So it's really easy to blend into the skin and it has the most beautiful skin-like glow. I feel like this is a really beautiful in-person foundation because it's something that really melts into the skin. It doesn't look like makeup on the skin. It's not heavy in any areas, but it does give that beautiful medium coverage with just a hint of a glow. It's nothing over the top. It's just a very skin-like foundation. It reminds me a lot, actually, of the Chanel Le Beige Healthy Glow Foundation, except I don't love this Chanel foundation because I find that it doesn't do, if you guys don't know on my channel, I really like foundations that blur the skin, add that filtered effect. This Givenchy, it adds that filtered blurred effect where that Chanel foundation, I find it almost just sits on top of the skin where this really melts into the skin. So it's really beautiful. And I'm really excited that I have been trying this out again because I am going to pick up another shade during the sale because I just think it is the most beautiful everyday foundation. It's nothing that's like crazy priced as well. Some of my Holy Grail foundations, now I do have to say this isn't a Holy Grail foundation, but this is a great everyday foundation that lasts all day, that gives me that blurred and filtered effect, that holds up, that doesn't crease or doesn't fade or doesn't get patchy in any areas. It wears beautifully. It gives me the perfect coverage for everyday wear, but it's not so expensive. A lot of my favorite foundations, like I said, they're the Chanel Sublimage, they're the Clé de Peau foundations, so they're over $100 at least, if not over $150 Canadian, that is. So this, for me, is reasonably priced, and I just really enjoy it as an everyday foundation. So if you're looking for something for everyday wear, this is great. I do want to say there is quite a strong fragrance, So if you're someone that does not like fragrance in your products, you will not like that, but it's gorgeous. The concealer that I love from Sephora is another Givenchy product. I guess I'm just really liking Givenchy. This is the Prisme Libre Skin Carrying Concealer. My shade is the shade N250, and I should say the shade that I'm picking up at the Sephora sale for the foundation is the shade N270, so if you're similar skin tone to me. But I really enjoy this concealer because it's a very lightweight serum texture, but it has really good coverage to it. So I like, I don't know, like this amount. I wouldn't say like really, really good. I would say a medium coverage concealer, but it's a really lightweight concealer. And I love this because it actually replaced my Dior Forever concealer or Skin Correct concealer. This used to be one of my favorite concealers. And I still like this, but I like the Givenchy one even better because I find it more skin-like and it just melts into the skin a little bit better. It just looks even more skin-like than the Dior. And I like that I can wear this both under the eyes and on my face as well. So if I don't even want to apply a foundation, this is the type of product I reach for on an everyday basis because it's just so gorgeous. It doesn't cake, it doesn't crease, it doesn't settle into fine lines. I don't need to set this concealer with powder. It's really, really good. And yeah, that is my #1 concealer at Sephora. Now for blushes, this is where things get tricky because I feel like my recommendations are mostly blushes. But the blushes that I really like that are cream blushes, I wanted to narrow it down to one, but I only narrowed it down to 2. The Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk Matte Beauty Blush Wand in the shade Pillow Talk. This shade specifically, not any other shade. And then the Patrick Ta, this is the She's Flush, that's the shade, Double Take Cream and Powder Blush Duo. So it does come with a cream and a powder. I definitely prefer the cream in this palette. And I have Hit Pan on it, if you can see. I feel like because I prefer the cream in this and not the powder, I am going to use the Charlotte Tilbury just to show you what this one looks like. But honestly, this is like a holy grail cream blush for me. I absolutely love it. It's beautiful. The shade She's Flush is hands down the best. I would buy it just for this cream blush, but I feel like a lot of other people will think that's a waste. So I am going to show this Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk Beauty Matte Blush Wand. And so it comes in this little squeezy tube. You need to open the little squeezy tube and distribute a little bit of product. Again, I do like to apply it to the palm of my hand. Make sure that you turn that off though, so that you don't get a bunch of product squeezing out. And then I just close it back up. I'm taking a Sonia G. This is a mini base. And I just like to get that product onto the brush here. And then I'll just stamp that product onto the skin. So this is just a beautiful, actually it's very similar to that Patrick Ta She's Flush color. It has almost like a mauve undertone, but it's very skin-like. Honestly, it does look like you're just blushing. You're flushed from within, you're blushing from within. It looks like you've been out in the cold and you have a little bit of color to your cheeks. It is absolutely gorgeous and it really does blend into the skin really nicely. I will say, if you're a beginner with this sort of product, maybe not the best for beginners because it does dry down quite quickly. And so you don't have like that much time to play with it. And it is quite pigmented. So I definitely would be hesitant to recommend it to beginners, but I do think it will work for all ages, all skin types. But just be cautious if you're a very, very beginner. I just went in and tightlined with my Holy Grail product from Hourglass. This is the Hourglass Voyer Waterproof Gel Eyeliner. I like the shade Obsidian and Cave. Cave is a brown, Obsidian is a black. And I just tightline my upper waterline with these. So definitely check those out if you're looking for an eyeliner. And then in terms of bronzer, my Holy Grail bronzer at Sephora is actually the Valentino refill. This is the bronzer. So I picked it up in a refill because it comes in a case, but it's like $250 Canadian, or it might even be $290 Canadian, and I'm not paying that. So I just bought the refill because it's much cheaper, and it is in the shade Zero. This is the On The Move bronzer. But unfortunately, it has been out of stock for forever, and you can see I've hit pan on this product. That's how much I like it. So I feel bad using it. So I'm going to use my runner-up favorite from Sephora. This is the Guerlain Terracotta Light Sun-Kissed Healthy Glow Powder in the shade Medium Warm. So it has a combination of like a bronzer and a blush tone in here. And I actually think it's supposed to have a highlighter shade in there too. So I always take that excess product off. And it's just a really beautiful bronzer. It's like a typical powder bronzer, so you don't need any fancy brushes to pick up this product. It's just a beautiful powder formula. It's definitely more hard pressed, like it's not a super powdery bronzer. Really easy to blend into the skin. It is really pretty if you're looking for just a standard Guerlain bronzer. I feel like if you have a luxury makeup collection, everyone kind of needs this in their collection at some point. It is really beautiful. I'm actually going to do my lips before I go in with a powder blush, just because I've been liking how that looks a little better when I can dictate the color on my lips. Therefore, I know how much color to apply to my cheeks. So I'm going to go in with this Kulfi. This is it's like the satin lipstick in the shade Bangle Box. It's just a perfect nudie pink, really lightweight, creamy texture. Has a bit of a sheen, and I really like that I don't require a lip liner with this product. Really, really gorgeous. So this is kind of my holy grail lipstick at Sephora currently. Also really loving this YSL. This is the Rouge Volupté Candy Glaze in the shade 02. It's basically just a clear color. I think I applied this exact same combination in my last video, so sorry about that. Another product that I really like that I will apply now is this Too Faced Hangover Pillow Balm. This is the lip treatment. This is so good. If you were picking, like, I still like the Too Faced better than this YSL. I find the texture just a little bit thinner, and I don't know, I like it a little bit more. But I will say the YSL, I like this packaging better. I like the luxuriousness of this YSL better, and I like the scent of it better. I like how it's just a little bit more special, but I will say I still like the formula of this Too Faced better. But sometimes, you know, packaging just does win you over. So I do really enjoy both of these products, but do you need both? Of course not. And for the cheeks, now these Valentino blushes are probably, I would say, my favorite blushes at Sephora. I just adore these. So I really like the shade number 9. If I'm looking for something more neutral, this is the shade, I think it's called Poudre number 9. And then this is the shade Very Rose, which is 02, which I think is my absolute favorite one. It's just gorgeous. So, you know, today maybe let's just mix these both. So I'm going to go in with one dab of this pink. I'll just show you. Actually, I'm going to start with this peachy color. I just dip in. We'll dip in twice to that one. And then with this, because it is a bit more of a brighter pink, I just dip in once, get off that excess product. Do you need both shades? No, but I like both. So I'm just going to apply them. But, I mean, really, you could just apply one of these, and I'm just topping off that cream blush just to set everything in. And then I'll just have the perfect combination and all my holy grail products from Sephora on my face. One more product that I forgot to mention, and this is something that I didn't love at first. This is the Westman Atelier Vital Pressed Skincare Powder in the shade Creme. And I think it came out 2 years ago now, and when I first tried it, I didn't love it. I'm just applying it to the center of my forehead, the middle of my chin. I only like to apply powder in specific areas, so just there, and then that's it. But when I first tried this product, I didn't love it. I think because I didn't feel like it did much for some reason. But now that maybe it's just because I'm a little bit older, I find that this performs very beautifully on very dry skin. And my skin is so incredibly dry lately that I just needed a powder with a little bit more creaminess to it. And this powder does that. So if you're someone with mature skin, or if you have really dry skin like me, this I think would work for fantastic. And it is giving me that very blurred look when I press it into the skin. You definitely need to press this powder in with your skin. You can't just dust it everywhere, because then you won't get that same blurred effect. But if you press it into the skin, like just, you know, stippling motions like this, you will get that blurred effect. I will say though, the downside to this powder is that you probably will have to touch up throughout the day. Like, it's not the most long lasting powder. It's not gonna last you 10 hours, but it's really beautiful. And this is the final look for the #1 makeup products from Sephora currently. These are all my holy grail makeup products at Sephora. If I'm picking one per category, these are my absolute favorites. Do you need everything? No, you do not. Don't feel like you need to buy everything that I mentioned in this video, of course, but these are just my favorite products that are currently sold at Sephora from each category of, like, you know, foundation, concealer, bronzer, blah, blah, blah. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I would love to hear from you down below. What are your favorite products at Sephora? Do you have any recommendations for me to pick up from the sale? Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Like this video if you like it, and I'll see you in my next video.